welcome to What People Miss. Here, I invite you to conversations about the subtleties in life, in which life is truly lived. As Mozart said, the music is not in the notes, but in the silence between them. Hi, I'm your host, Cordelia Gaffar, the ultimate joy goddess, inviting you to choose joy and pleasure so that you love your life. I do that by showing you how to play with intimacy. You can reveal yourself to yourself so that you can reveal yourself to those you love. Would you like to help me to write my next book? Starting on April 14th, I'm offering a small group of women a 6-week experience called Revealing Your Erotic Self. The goal is for you to embody your emotions in a way that reveals and explores the depth of your being as fuel and ignites your passion for life. Are you open to that? Well, it begins on April 14th, and you can email me at hello@cordeliagaffar.com for details. Today, I'm excited to speak with you about the joy of visioning with Bemene Piaro. She is a dear friend of mine and a certified life coach and the founder of the Wholeness Center. Born in Nigeria and raised in the United States, she has traveled to more than 20 countries, deepening her understanding of diverse cultures and perspectives. She holds a master's in public health and certifications from the International Coaching Academy and the International Coaching Federation. Bemene specializes in coaching women of color to overcome challenges posed by inequitable systems and self-limiting beliefs, empowering them to create the lives they desire by reconnecting with their innate courage, agency, and freedom. She has led multiple visioning workshops and provides group and one-on-one coaching to clients across the United States. Beyond her coaching practice, she partners with organizations like the Coach Me program and One-to-One, Women Coaching Women, to offer pro bono coaching for those in need. With no further ado, I bring to the stage my lovely friend, Bemene. How
Hi.
are you?
Good to be here with you.
Excellent. So, what is visioning?
Hmm. Thank you. I am so happy to have the opportunity to talk about visioning with you, Cordelia, and because we'll talk more about why later. So, what is visioning? So, the dictionary definition, right, is the process of putting together a plan or a vision for the future. Similarly to what I mean when I say visioning, is the process of kind of allowing that future to come to you from deep within, to tune in and be able to listen so that you can connect with what you really want and kind of get out of your head space about what you should do or should want, but just like what do you really want? If you get rid of your um, thoughts about, or I can't, or like how, and just deepening what you want, letting that come to you, and then putting that, an image to that, words to that, in a way that you can later take actions towards it.
Mm. So, it sounds like you can create pictures without judgment.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I love that. So, what do people miss about visioning?
Oh, what do people miss? I think, so maybe something people are familiar with, if they don't necessarily know the word visioning, they may know vision boarding, right?
Mhm.
Understand, I can make a vision board. And I hope more and more that people recognize that it's not just putting pictures on a page, but like that those pictures um, flow to you from like a deeper inner connective space. And so I think what people miss is the visioning is what happens, in my opinion, before the vision boarding. It's all of the kind of prep work beforehand that makes it so that when you sit down, those images are flowing to you, or so that whatever, even if you're actually specifically searching for images, 'cause I do virtual visioning too. And so, you're not, flipping through magazines and connecting in that way. You're putting in words to pull the images to you. But those words, like I said, represent something deeper. And so it's that connecting with the deeper part. And that takes time. Like when I do my visioning process, I literally start days before. And those days are really all spent reconnecting with myself, right? Doing the activities that I know connect with me, with myself, so that I can hear me think. So it's the work, that beautiful, hopefully joyful, connective work that comes before the plan, that comes before the image, is also the healing part of visioning that I think is oftentimes not talked about.
Hmm. I want to go back and talk a little bit about how you pulled those images towards you, right? Like it sounds like you create yourself as a magnet. Is that what you're saying?
I really like that way of looking at it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I say it as revealing what is inside, but I actually also do think like the becoming a magnet for what is inside and what you want, right? It's once you get that clarity on what it is, you have the visual, you see it regularly, you have the words, you review it regularly, because not everybody's the picture person. So I'm giving you options, but once you have that, and you have that clarity, I do believe you become a magnet for it. I do believe that.
Because I'm currently trying to envision something and bring something into my life. And so I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm like, what am I missing about what I'm doing? Because um, so I'm saying the words, right? I'm repeating the words. I'm sharing the words with people that I love, and inviting them to believe with me,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And but I'm not feeling the magnetism of what I want coming to me.
mhm,
I trust and believe that it's going to happen, um, but I feel like there's like a barrier, and the barrier is mm, I
mhm.
would say kind of like a maybe it is like a fear. Look, I just feeling into my body now.
I
Um,
saw the kind of heart. I could feel you going in, going.
it's almost like a fear, like, what if it doesn't happen? What if I can't really get this, you know?
Mm,
And so what am I missing? What can I do?
mm. And as I listen to you, I feel like you're just already doing it. It's that recognizing, right? Like you recognizing, oh, I am resonating more with the fear of this not happening right now than I am with the possibility of it happening, or with the even with what it feels like once it happens, or what it looks like once it happens. But also that is normal, right? Like that's something we all go through. There are days where it's like, yes, this is happening. I'm resonating with it. I'm doing all the steps. I believe it. Then there are days where it's like, this didn't go right. This didn't go right. And the whole sky is falling down. And now I just, nothing that ever want is ever going to happen again. So I don't really necessarily think you're missing anything. This is normal. And I think that the work is what you just did. It's like, okay, what is happening here? Why am I not resonating with this? Oh, I'm feeling fear. And then, like, it's a choice, right? Like, yes, fear is going to come. And it's like, okay, I see you, fear. We're going to feel it for a minute. We're going to breathe and we're going to let it go. And we're going to choose to believe. And then, like, I would say, like, what are your practices for when you want to resonate with more happier thoughts? So, for example, for me, I love to write self talks. I like to write mantras. Um,
Okay.
so like I love listening to pre-recorded like mantras and self affirmations, and that's great. But it's really sometimes hard to find a pre-recorded thing that says the things I need to hear.
Mhm.
that knows exactly what I'm feeling. I try though. I'll go on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll put in like self-talk or whatever else, or maybe I'll go to a chakra meditation or whatever and putting, if I can name like the fear. If fear is the emotion, then I will put in, and that can be helpful. But other times I'll just write down what it is that I want to tell myself, what it is that I want to feel, starting with where I am, right? Like feeling in that gap, right? Like, I just say, I want to believe this, I want to feel this way. And then I get to, it is okay. This is gonna happen for me. I'm in the journey, whatever it is. But like I'm talking myself through that. And then I read that to myself.
So
That
oh, I'm sorry. So am I understanding that you like voice record yourself and then
I've done that. I sometimes just literally write it.
oh, okay.
And I'll even do it on my phone. I have the little notes app, and I'll write
Mhm.
it. And then I'll read it to myself. Like,
Mhm.
or just look at it. But like, that's just one practice. So I think the invitation and the question is, so now that you recognize I'm really in that space of fear, what helps you to let go? With you, I can imagine movement, for example.
Yes. Well, you're right. I do this movement thing and with a fantasy, right? So like I have a fantasy of like being with it, and like breathing with it and dancing with it. So yeah, maybe this is something we can experiment with real time on March 29th.
I think we can.
Yeah. So I want to bring attention to the links that I'm putting below as we're speaking. Right now, I have Bemene's LinkedIn, and previously I had her website, which is the Wholeness Center VA.com. And so please check her out and connect with her on LinkedIn. And as you can already see, uh, your life will change. Like in this conversation, my life is changing. I'm like, okay. Um, but I do want to talk a little bit about, the opportunity to meet you in person, right? So you and I and three other amazing ladies have created this experience that we're calling the Women's Self-Nurturing and Networking Day.
Mhm.
Yeah. And why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I am so excited for that opportunity. So, the Women's Self Nurturing and Networking Day is a day for women to come together and nurture themselves during Women's History. Hopefully, you're celebrating throughout the month and doing little and big things to take care of yourself. And we can be your finale, where we're just going to spend a half day and a retreat type experience and feeling and just relaxing, like let your hair down. This designed for professional women, for busy women like yourself. So we know you're constantly having to choose between, do I go to a business meeting? Do I go to like a networking meeting? Do I go to, I don't know, something that is going to increase my career in some way, or do I just go relax and enjoy? And so we're wanting to bring both together for you. So you get to come relax and enjoy, learn about different ways to care and nurture yourself, from movement, from sound baths, from meditation. I would call them moving meditations,
Mhm.
to just like conversation that are built on trust, safe and brave space, honesty, authenticity, and to, from that point on, connect with others like yourselves who are looking to genuinely connect with people. So whether that is like we have something we want to collaborate on, or resources we want to share with each other, or we just want to make friends and just relax and enjoy ourselves, right? Like we're gonna do all of that together on the 20th.
Yeah. I think I see, and I feel like what people miss about networking is they feel like they have to pick, they have to decide. And I use the word decide here instead of choose, because decide means that you're like letting something die instead.
Mhm.
So, and it doesn't have to be that way. It can be just very open and soft, you know? You can nurture yourself and nurture others, you know, and create relationships all at the same time, but on a deeper level, right? In a way that will both enhance your career and build trust immediately,
Mhm.
right? And you'll know like who is for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
As you know, we're talking about visioning here. I feel like in our work, you know, it's about building discernment within people,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. And I think you make a good point in pulling envisioning with this, because something that I'm learning with visioning is that sometimes the how is really the who, right?
Hmm.
So like when you get clear and even in the coaching process, right? When you get clear on what it is that you want or what it is that you are going to do, one of the things you ask yourself is like, okay, who are the people? Oh, who are my resources? What are my resources? And oftentimes it's not like who you know in terms of yes, that is that, but I don't mean who you know in terms of that's how you get places, but I mean like someone has the answer, right? And if you ask the question, they can just naturally, even without realizing it, share that information with you. So whether intentionally or unintentionally, someone else has asked this question and they have the answer. And just being in that space and connecting, they can point you to something that points you to something else that points you to something else. So just being in a space where you are connecting to your vision and then having the opportunity to talk with other people before and after, right, can help fuel you and give you new ideas as to how to really get to what it is that brings you joy and lights you up.
Yeah. So that also makes me think about what is the joy of visioning?
Mm, well, there's many. When I'm doing a solo for myself, the joy is in like, well, so the joy for me is the self-care that I do for it. The fact that I set time aside and I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do. I give myself permission to
Mhm.
focus on myself, but also the joy is in like the images. There's some joy in like putting together essentially a collage that is pretty to look at and exciting to look at. And it's a collage of how I want my year to be. I tend to do mine for the year, but I also sometimes do it just for a specific purpose, right? Like if I could even use it for something like friendships, right? Like if I'm
Mm.
like, oh, I want new friends. Okay, well, I need a space to think about, well, what does that mean to me? What do I want it to feel like? What do I want it to look like? Right? And I will come up with the images. So if I want my friendships to feel like joy, well, what does joy look like to me?
Mm.
Joy feel like to me? And before I know it, I have pictures of everybody laughing or different groups of people connecting in different ways, but things that show me what that feels like. So some of the joy for me is in the fun of
Mm.
picking beautiful pictures or pictures that feel beautiful to me and putting them together and having this beautiful image that I look at that make me feel happy and inspired whenever I need to feel happy and inspired or motivated about something. And if you're doing it in a physical space, like you can get into this flow space where you're just like not really thinking anymore. And so, this is for the full visioning experience.
Mhm. Yes, it
Where
feels
you have hours just to like look at the photos or a couple of hours just to look at the photos and picking things and words that you like. And there's a flow state to it. And that's really joyful to experience. So whether it's the joy of creating it, the joy of having the images that you get to look at anytime to bring you joy, when you need that moment, or when you need that shift, or just the joy of the time before where you're just preparing yourself and focusing yourself. I think it's all joyful.
yeah, and I'm also hearing, like, if I think back to before we met, right? I was thinking I would like to refresh my friendships,
Mhm.
like I want people who can be in all parts of my life, right? I don't want someone that, we can hang out, just for hiking, or we can just, do events together. I want all of that in one person, And so, um, I guess I had my little fantasy of like, if I could have friends who think like me, but they have different qualities, right? Like
Mhm.
you're really strong with some things that I'm not. And they're, willing to like help me see myself better, right? And so that I can be all that I can be, you know? And then also I can help them see themselves better so they can be all that they can be, and we can build and grow all parts of our lives. And so that's how I feel like I pulled you in.
That is so amazing. Can I tell you how I think I pulled you in?
Oh, tell me.
So I literally did my vision board, or I think I can't remember if I met you before I did my vision board or after, but I was already in the process, right? So it was already in my mind of like, what do I want? What do I want? And I love having a long period of time to ask myself that question, like living in the question, so that there's space for
Mm,
the answers to show up. And one of the things that I wanted to do is like, it's actually similar. It's like, I wanted connections that felt that I could just be myself and just be enjoy. And that it felt like flow, where I didn't feel, there wasn't tension. There wasn't this tension of, um, I don't know, there's something that happens sometimes in some friendships where it just feels like we're working hard to understand each other.
mhm.
It's work. Like,
Yes.
like I can't communicate it somehow. I'm not using the right words. I can't quite figure out your words, or I feel like the words I'm putting out isn't being understood. And I felt like I wasn't authentically sharing who I was in
Hmm.
my relationships. Like, they look great on the outside, right? And I was sharing certain things and I was showing up in certain ways. And that was all great. But I wanted to have new friendships where I could show up vulnerably and I could just say and be myself. And it didn't have to be work. And then here walks in Cordelia and she's like, I'm an intimacy coach. I'm like, what's that? You see, that's something I want. Let's come to your stuff and figure out what it's about. That's how I pulled you
Yes. Ah,
in.
wow. I love that. Yeah, you see, I put down there living in the question because that really resonated with me. Mm, that is that's important to, I heard you say many things about being not having to work at your relationships. Like, I mean, you're gonna work at your relationships, but not like pull out the tools.
Different types of work, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It This is like the easy work where we're like in a frequency that's connecting us, and, it's been so easy communicating with you, and even when I'm screwing up, you're just like
Not screwing up. You're not screwing up. You are the kindest, most like open, receptive, and supportive person. And you're never screwing up, but you're so willing and ready to like apologize and let's fix it and focus on the solution. I'm like, wow, okay. I
Yeah,
really think you do bring out the best in people. Like, you make it easy for people to be around you and for them to be around each other, which is wonderful. It's great. It's a great gift.
thank you. And you make it really easy for people to stay focused and, really let their gift shine,
Thank you.
you know?
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we have actually beautifully demonstrated the joy of visioning.
I do it because it works for me, right?
Yeah. And I love that you live your work,
Thank you.
because it's it's one thing to, be certified and qualified for whatever, and it's a complete different thing if you're certified, qualified, and you live it, right? You're practicing it. You're in the practice of what you're certified for. Because what's the point? You know? Why get certified if you're not going to practice it? It's just like, look, I'm good at this. Somebody said I'm good at this. But like when you live it, it's obvious. It's like people know what you do for a living. Like they know who you are because you're being it. So
Thank you. And I would say all the same things for you.
thank you.
You are magnetizing. And you pulled four amazing women to you, ready to like do and collaborate and help nurture other women together. Right.
Yeah. So if you're missing this sort of connection in your world, in your life, in your career, we're inviting you to join us on March 29th, to come to the Women's Self-Nurturing and Networking Day. It'll deepen your connections with other women in ways that you didn't know were possible. And I feel like this is what we miss as women, right? We miss allowing ourselves those deeper connections because of, remember earlier I was talking about I had that fear. It's like, I've had negative experiences before. This isn't going to really work. But look, just release that and,
Yes.
allow your true vision to happen and to be, and welcome it in, magnetize it and welcome it all at once.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'm so happy you said yes to being on my podcast. Thank you.
You for having me. I knew we would have a great conversation. So I was just like, yeah, it'll be easy. It's Cordelia. Yes.
Yes. So
Can I say one quick thing
I
that's
want you to say a lot of quick things. No, I want you to like give us like golden nuggets out of what we talked about today. But then go ahead and say whatever you want to say first.
it's not even like golden nuggets. It's just another instance of like why I love vision boarding and how it's magnetizing. So not this year's vision board, but last year I put on my vision board that I wanted to tell my story. So I wanted to go on and podcasts. And
Oh,
I think that the phrasing for it was like her story was the little tagline that I used. And then it was the podcasting. And I had an idea about what way to go about it. And I signed up for a way to connect with podcasts. And I paid money for it, but then I never went. It wasn't the right time. It just wasn't. It didn't feel easeful. It didn't come naturally. But and this is what I love about having multiple years vision boards. Is I look back sometimes and I'm like, from years ago, it's here now. This reality that was not a reality before, right? And maybe it didn't happen like that or when I thought it would be, but generally as I've looked over the years, it's like the things that I've been able to imagine and acknowledge and say that I want eventually show up. And if I know to look for them, I can see them. So like
mm,
I am so happy that this is happening so naturally. I like even just a week ago, I didn't wake up going, I'm gonna be on a podcast and but we had a conversation and here we are. But this was on my vision board last
see?
year, and here
So
we are.
that's that's it. And our lives are accumulation of our thoughts and beliefs and
Mhm.
visions.
Exactly. And that's really it. And it's okay to live in a question for a while. It's okay to, and I think it's really good to acknowledge the fear because that's where the opportunity for courage is, right? Where you're like, I'm afraid. I don't know if this is ever going to happen. And then you choose, but I want to. This feels good. This feels like the right thing for me. So I'm going to take this small step and let go of, you know, the outcome and just be in the process and like living that in that way. That's what I consider to be courage. And it wouldn't be courage if there wasn't a little bit of fear there. There would be nothing to overcome.
Yes, exactly. You're right. More and more, I find myself embracing my fear and still like, yes, this is happening.
It is. You're doing it.
I'm doing it. Thank
It.
you. Thank you so much for this conversation,
Thank
for
you.
saying yes, and for, being here today. And for those of you who are viewing and listening, share this with another heart and share this with another soul and reflect on what you may be missing and how you can embrace the joy of visioning. Until next time, choose joy.